Most Spanish learners can handle the present, right now, today, what's happening, but ask them what they did yesterday, what they bought on vacation, and suddenly silence. But today that all changes. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to talk about shopping in Spanish, who bought what, where, and when, using one verb and two question words that you'll remember forever. And we'll lock it all in with a beautiful song that you'll be singing all week. Vamos. Chapter 10, You're Here. That's huge. That's 10 lessons of real commitment to your Spanish, and you sound better every single time. Before we dive in, let's warm up that Spanish brain with something you already do beautifully, pronunciation. You know, we like to begin with a little review so you can recall how much Spanish you already know. Let's look at a few cognate patterns. There are many words that end in CE in English that end in cia in Spanish, so distance becomes la distancia. A few of them actually end in cio instead, so divorce becomes el divorcio. And that cia, there are also some words that end in cy in English, so democracy would become democracia. And finally, we have words that end in ine in English become ina in Spanish. So like gasoline becomes gasolina. So these are some cognates. I know you already know what they mean, so let's say them together. I'll go slowly. You're a pro at these. And note this little part in blue. This is where we will stress on that syllable. Let's begin. Ambulancia. Coincidencia, conveniencia, diferencia, distancia, experiencia, independencia, Alicia, Francia. Muy bien, good pronunciation. And it looks like we have Alicia here in Francia, and she is already shopping. Let's try a few more. These are words that end in cy, and we'll pronounce them with that cia. And this is also where we'll put the stress. Let's begin. Agencia, aristocracia, democracia, emergencia, farmacia, urgencia. Excelente. Those multi-syllabic words can feel like a real workout, but you read every single one of them. Excellent. Remember, Spanish is phonetic, so take your time and sound them out. You can do it. And look at that. In under 2 minutes, you've just unlocked a dozen new words, and you spoke all of them. That is real Spanish that you can use. So let's keep that momentum going. Here's our plan for the rest of the lesson. 2 question words, what, qué, and when, cuándo. A popular bachata song that will make cuándo impossible to forget. The verb comprar in the past tense to talk about shopping. And we'll end the lesson thinking in Spanish with our final challenge where the vocabulary and the grammar come together like magic and you leave speaking Spanish, not just studying it. Our first question word is qué, and that means what. And you can remember it like okay. In fact, if you're texting in Spanish and you want to write qué, people usually just write the letter qué. So that's your insider tip for that. Qué, qué. The second question word is cuándo, and that means when. Now, I could ask you to memorize that, but you know that's not how we do things here. We have a better way. This is the moment in every lesson where we stop and listen to music together. It's a ritual. It's not just a little treat at the end of the lesson. It's an actual teaching tool that's placed right where your brain needs it most. And this word cuándo needs the song early. And once you hear it, you'll understand why. Today's song is Bachata. If you were with us for our last lesson for Donde Está, you already know this, that Bachata was recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity because of the deep relationship this music has with the people of the Dominican Republic. The band is called Aventura. They're from the Bronx, New York, but they're all of Dominican descent. And when they first recorded this song, they called themselves Los Teenagers, which is a phonetic spelling of teenagers in English. So they were very young when they started, but they grew to be huge, which is why they called themselves the Kings of Bachata. And they can be credited with taking bachata to a global audience and have been recognized as one of the most influential Latin groups of all time because of the awards they've received and the stadiums they've filled. You'll easily recognize the bachata rhythm in their music, but they also introduced elements like hip-hop and R&B. The name of the song is Cuándo Volverás, and they're asking a lost love, when will you return? Cuándo volverás. There's that when, cuándo, and will you return? Volverás. They recorded a version in Spanish and English. The English version still keeps the Spanish question being asked throughout the song. So let's listen, and you'll see how easy it will be to remember cuándo after hearing it. Cuándo, cuándo, cuándo. You'll be singing that chorus for the rest of the week, and that is entirely intentional. You know, I insist on putting a song in every lesson, and I want to pause right now and just tell you why, because it comes from something I lived. I studied Spanish for 7 years. I got straight A's, I passed the AP exam, and then I went to do my year abroad in Madrid, and I got off the plane, and I couldn't understand a word anybody said. They didn't care about my conjugation charts or my grades. I was good in Spanish on paper, but that didn't matter when I wanted to speak to people. But I stuck with it. I fell in love with Spain, with the culture, with the people, with the language, all of it. And I still have that love, and I want to share it with others. And this whole thing with the music, I remember I had come back and I was driving my car in Sacramento, and I could understand a song on the radio. And it was like a treasure box. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not translating. I could just understand the music. All the grammar was there, but it was just natural. And I was like, why didn't we do more of this in school? When I tried to remember a conjugation, I wouldn't go back to a chart in my head. I would hear the chorus of a song. Was it ser or estar? Donde? Cuando? And I would play back the chorus or a song, and that was my answer. So it was like this free Spanish teacher in the music. And I even went back to my Spanish teacher, Mr. Ortega, bless his heart. He was such a good teacher. I had him for 2 years. He had taught us to sing La Bamba and Guantanamera. And I was like, Mr. Ortega, I made you this mixed tape. You can play it with your students and they'll learn all of the verb conjugations. Remember, this was pre-internet, pre-YouTube. I had sat listening to the radio. I would push record on the tape recorder, and then I would type out the lyrics on my word processor. And he was like, well, you know, that was a lot of work. And I said, yes, but it's a lot of fun. And your students will love it. You know, some would say that you should wait until you've mastered all of the verb conjugations to start listening to music, but I boldly disagree. Music is the fastest, most joyful path to fluency. Not because it's easy, but because the brain wants to hold on to something beautiful. The grammar rules fade, but a chorus lasts forever. And I don't want you to spend 7 years studying and then still freeze up when a native speaker asks you a question. And that's why I've paired the music with these lessons in Madrigal's Magic Key to Spanish, because it really is the most elegant, easy, accessible text for adult learners. And look it's 45 chapters long. You're on chapter 10 already. So in less than a year, think of how much more fluent you'll be. If you're enjoying these lessons and you want to come back every Sunday, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You know that's how we build this community. All right, let's keep going. Vamos! Okay, so you just heard cuando used perfectly in a song, but now let's make sure you can use it. Hearing it is just the beginning. Now let's use it to talk about shopping. Comprar means to buy. To say I bought, we say compré. Here's the Madrigal Magic move you've seen before. Compró works for 4 different subjects. He, she, it, and you, the formal usted version. For shorthand, we're going to use this triangle to denote all 4 of those. It could have been a square, but it was too crowded. And you can remember it's the 3rd person singular plus this bonus, our respectful way of addressing you with the usted form. And that's probably how people will speak to you in Spanish, using usted. 1 form, 4 people. This is our shortcut. ¿Está bien? You've got it. There was your past tense. Compré, compró. You're ready. So let's put it to use in our Spin and Speak challenge. And before we do that, I just want to show you a few little words so that you feel completely comfortable going in. Here are some places where we'll shop. And look who's back, our little werewolf, to help us remember to say where. We say donde. And our owl for quién, who did we shop for? And then we've got some times when we could say when we shopped and what we bought. So we can say we bought things en una tienda or en la farmacia, para mi papá, para su mamá, or su familia. And that su could be for his mom, her mom, your mom, su. We could have bought these la semana pasada, esta mañana, esta noche. And these are some things that we'll be talking about buying. Pan, un sombrero, and espárragos. So you know how we do this. In the left column, we have who bought and our verb. In the middle, we have what was bought. And on the right, we have where, when, and for whom it was bought. Try your best and have fun. Speaking Spanish is fun. ¿Compró usted carne en una tienda? No compré pan para mi mamá. Compré café para mi papá. ¿Compró Roberto chocolate para Marta? ¿Compró su mamá espárragos para su papá? ¿Compró Alicia frutas en Francia? Alicia compró aspirinas la semana pasada. Alicia no compró alcohol esta mañana. ¿Compró usted una blusa esta tarde? No compré perfume esta noche. Muy bien. So now let's ask some questions with cuándo. So, ¿cuándo compró usted la casa? ¿Cuándo compró Alicia el auto? ¿Cuándo compró usted el tractor? ¿Cuándo compró Alicia el suéter? ¿Cuándo compró usted la blusa? And let's not forget how to ask, what did you buy? ¿Qué compró usted en la tienda? ¿Qué compró Alicia en París? ¿Qué compró Roberto esta mañana? ¿Qué compró su papá en la farmacia? Excelente. Easy, right? Look at you. You're not just answering questions, you're asking them. That's conversation. This is real Spanish that you can use. Compré, compró, cuándo, qué, all in one lesson. You're not translating anymore, you're thinking in Spanish. And that's right where we want you to be. So let's wrap everything up with one final short dialogue so you can keep thinking in Spanish. It starts out a little silly, but the brain remembers silly. Vamos. ¿Compró usted una ambulancia? Ay, no, eso es ridículo. No compré una ambulancia, compré un auto. ¿Cuándo compró el auto? Compré el auto la semana pasada. ¿Qué compró Alicia en Francia? Compró perfume, una blusa y chocolates en Francia. ¿Compró Alicia un sombrero en Francia? No, no compró un sombrero en Francia. ¿Compró usted una blusa la semana pasada? Sí, compré una blusa la semana pasada. ¿Dónde compró la blusa? Compré la blusa en una tienda. ¿Qué compró usted en la farmacia? Compré aspirina en la farmacia. ¿Cuándo compró usted el pan? Compré el pan esta mañana. Excelentísimo. Muy, muy, muy bien. Give yourself a real pat on the back. You are reading and sounding more and more like a native speaker with every lesson. You continue to get better and better, and I mean that. For more practice, check out Chapter 10 of Madrigal's Magic Key to Spanish. You can go to the website and practice the spin and speak activities on our spinning wheels. And of course, listen to Cuándo Volverás on our Songs to Practice Spanish playlist and on Spotify. Hope to see you next Sunday for Chapter 11. Thank you for joining me here at Tentáculo, Clases y Cultura. Yo me llamo Kelly. Muchas gracias y nos vemos.